What comes to your mind when you think of selling? Is it cringy? Is it scary? Is it exciting? If you are an entrepreneur, whether you have a course or a digital product, or even you're selling your services, maybe you're a photographer or an artist or a copywriter, whatever that is, it's going to come with marketing and selling. But we both know that you could have the absolute best product, the best service. It doesn't matter if nobody knows about it, because if you don't know how to sell it, it's not going to do you any good. It'll just sit in the internet void or in your closet or even inside you, gathering dust. And soon enough, when you think about it, it'll become this source of frustration and disappointment instead of the excitement that it started out to be. Have you ever felt that? Or is that just me? Because I have had so many ideas for services or for products that I wanted to do. A few times I even went as far as making logos and websites and business cards, and I immersed myself in all of the tiny little busy work to make everything look perfect. I spent hours tweaking little things on my website that nobody cared about but me. And I totally ignored the biggest part of business, which is selling the thing. I don't know about you, but I wanted to run this successful business, but I hated the idea of selling it. So today I'm going to talk about 4 things that hold us back from actually selling our amazing products and services, and more importantly, how to overcome those things. And while I'm mostly talking to freelancers and course creators and digital product makers, this really can work even for selling physical products too. It's more of a mindset change. So are you ready? Okay, before we get started, give that little ringy bell a ring and we will get started, okay? Okay, so the first thing that people run into is the fear of rejection. What if they say no? What if they don't like me? What if they don't like what I'm selling? And it's tough because you know that if you put yourself out there, somebody is not going to like it. That can be a big ouch, right? When you create something, it's like your baby, and nobody wants to be told they have an ugly baby. So rather than put ourselves out there and face that rejection, we put off putting ourselves out there. And the best way to overcome this one is to remember that you are not your offer and your offer is not you. You are 2 separate things. And whatever you've got to sell, it's not going to be for everybody. You're going to get no's. In fact, if you want to increase your yeses, some people make it a goal to double their rate of no's. And I know that sounds totally counterintuitive, but if you get way more comfortable with the no's, then your yeses are going to increase. You know, they always say niche down. If you niche down, then you're going to exclude a lot of people who are not in your sphere of genius. And you can even let them know, hey, this is for this, and it might not be for you if you're this. You kind of reject them before they reject you. You attract the right person and you repel the wrong person. And if you do that, you'll actually find that your inner community is much more robust and engaged than they would be if you hadn't done that. The second thing that trips a lot of people up is a lack of confidence. Maybe you think that you're not outgoing enough or salesy enough, or people think that you have to have this really bubbly, outgoing, pushy personality to sell. But the good news is a lot of people don't like that. In fact, people don't want to be sold to. Think about it. Do you like it when overbearing, pushy salespeople try to push something on you and get you to buy? No, it feels awful, right? So if you don't have this super outgoing, super bubbly, woohoo personality, that's okay. You don't need that to make sales work. Believe me, I know I am an introvert and I do not like the idea of pressuring somebody into doing anything. In fact, let me tell you a quick story. When I first started out as an email copywriter about 4 years ago, I was very uncomfortable with the idea of selling and pushing anybody to buy. In fact, right after I started working at this marketing agency, one of my account managers emailed this other copywriter with a loom, basically saying that he was glad that that guy was working on the project instead of me because he didn't feel like I was a very good salesperson. And when that video accidentally got sent to me, I was crushed. I mean, I was like, why am I working here? I suck at selling. I'm going to get fired. Like, what am I even doing? You know, this was my whole job. I ended up having to work on that same project because the other copywriter flaked out. And I had to work with that same account manager who thought that I sucked. I just decided I am going to write the socks off these emails. And so I dug into other emails that were working, and I just adopted those same selling strategies. I went from that account manager saying that I sucked to him actually requesting me for every project he was on, and I had to turn him down because I couldn't fit them all into my schedule. And I didn't tell you that to be like, man, I'm so good. It's to show you that a huge introvert who had a huge aversion to selling was still able to take these selling principles and make them work without being pushy, but instead being conversational. That's the biggest thing, is if you can talk about your thing with genuine excitement, that you're really happy to be able to get it out to your customer because you know it's going to help them, it doesn't come off as pushy. They actually begin to want what you've got. And that kind of leads right into number 3, which is feeling pushy. A lot of people feel like to get somebody to buy, they have to be pushy or manipulative. And for most of us, that does not feel so great, and we would really rather not. So I want you to ask yourself, what is your favorite thing that you ever bought? It could be your iPhone or your car or your 24/7 maid service that everybody has. Now I want you to think of the worst experience that you ever had with selling. When someone tried to sell you something even though you were just so obviously uninterested. It probably felt a little bit gross or pushy or maybe even a little bit dishonest. There's a really good chance that you didn't buy whatever they were trying to sell, and if you did, you regretted it. So I want you to ask yourself, what's the difference between those two experiences? Whether it was your Apple computer or a kiosk at the mall, they were both trying to get you to buy something, but the experience was totally different. What made one feel okay and one feel absolutely terrible? The difference really comes down to whether you already had an internal motivation to buy and whether they were able to tap into it. Good selling just gets you to do something that you already wanted to do. Bad selling pushes really hard and almost tries to bully somebody into buying their thing. I still to this day hate being pushy in my sales copy. I would much rather have it be an invitation to something that they already want. And the good news is this is what your customer would rather have too. They don't want to be sold to, they want to be engaged with. This brings us to big old number 4, and this really is a big one. We all know it, we all hate it. It's imposter syndrome. If you've stalled out in your business because you're stuck in this loop of thinking that you're not experienced enough or knowledgeable enough to sell your thing, if you're thinking, who am I to offer this to people? Remember, that doesn't mean that you're an actual imposter. It means that you're an actual human. We all struggle with this feeling. We all feel like we're faking it to make it. And the best thing that you can do is to look at the results that you've already gotten for you or for somebody else. And if you're thinking to yourself, oh no, I actually am an imposter, I don't have any results yet, what you can do is just start small. Start building up that skill set. If you've got a course and people aren't knocking down your door to get it, try offering it at a great discount to your ideal customers in exchange for a testimonial. That not only will give you quick wins as far as sales, but it'll help so much as far as social proof when you go to relaunch it. Plus, as a bonus, hearing those results for other people won't just validate your course in the minds of your customers, it'll also validate it in your own mind and help banish that imposter syndrome a little bit. Remember that testimonials and referrals are gold when it comes to marketing, because word of mouth is the absolute best marketing that you can get. And it's the very same principle whether you're selling a service or a product. When people start to talk about it for you, that's when things start to sell themselves, and selling is a whole lot easier. So if you can get a few interested people to take your course or use your product or try out your service, then you can use their thumbs up, their testimonial, to show others how good you are. I know that at first selling can seem difficult or uncomfortable, and it's really all about that mindset shift, because once you're able to get over those barriers, that's where you're going to get your confidence boost. The boost rarely comes before you step out though. So biggest takeaway here, selling should not feel pushy. It should not feel like you are externally pounding on them to get them to buy something. It should feel like you're showing up with the solution to their problem. Think of it this way. If you were driving in your car in the middle of nowhere and your gas tank was just about empty and you're thinking you're going to run out of gas, and then just over that hill you see a gas station and they're selling gas, the very last thing on your mind is, oh, they're just trying to sell me something. You're thinking, oh my gosh, yay, I can buy gas. It's the exact same thing when your customer has this problem, this pain point, and you show up and say, hey, I have that exact solution for your problem and I'm willing to sell it to you. Because at that point, you're serving them while you sell to them. One other takeaway that sort of piggybacks off that is you have to retrain your brain into thinking about selling as how am I bringing the most possible value and transformation to my customer. If you think about your customers as friends and you're trying to serve them as much as possible and answer all of their questions and take care of all their pain points, then all those pushy sales tactics that you thought you had to do, they don't even come into play anymore. You're just making a value-packed offer to a friend. So there you have it. I hope that was helpful. Remember, good sales is just really good service. And if you take that to heart, selling becomes so much easier. Anyways, have a wonderful rest of your day. If you liked this content, go ahead and please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it, do all the things. This is my first video, so there's a lot more where that came from, and I will see you real soon.